Yes, major history. I'd like to make a few brief comments on the global scene today. Currently, the United States is involved directly or indirectly in at least three uh, conflicts and maybe involved on a smaller scale than others. I'm talking about in Yemen, the Israel-Hamas conflict, and Ukraine. Also, the United States involved in the ongoing campaign against the ISIS group in Syria and Iraq, and also Al-Qaeda in Somalia and other places in Africa. Now, this is interesting that the current president bills himself as the great peacemaker, but the facts don't really bear that out because he has gotten himself, United States, renewed conflict in Yemen, which is currently undergoing a aerial campaign by United States forces against targets in that country. And the Ukraine conflict is interesting too, because the United States is the primary supporter of that government in its war with the Russian Federation. And I was just wondering if this current conflict between Ukraine and Russia, is it a regional war or a civil war? Because the fate of Ukraine and Russia has been historically intertwined. They both speak Slavic languages, closely related, and for the most part mutually understandable. Their culture is quite similar. They share, for the most part, the same religion, um, Russian Orthodox Church, with its branches in Ukraine. So Ukraine steadfastly refused to be under Russian hegemony, and apparently the Russian government under Vladimir Putin is just as firmly committed to imposing its will upon Ukraine, which it views as a lesser power within their regional geopolitical orbit. So with these ongoing conflicts, uh, this year 2025 going on got off to a very inauspicious beginning with the renewal of these conflicts in those areas that I mentioned. So I believe that the United States will have to decide very soon whether they're going to limit their engagement in these various conflicts or expand, and in order to protect its interests and the interests of its allies. So we'll see in short, notice how this unfolds, especially in Ukraine and other areas. Thank you. Uh, Major history. And according to the Bible, which is in the Word of God, it states that no man can serve two masters. He's either going to love one or hate the other, or cleave to one and shun the other. I think that's the dilemma that Mr. Elon Musk faced the last few months. His fortune has experienced a precipitous decline uh, in his personal wealth because of his main engines of revenue. SpaceX, and particularly Tesla Motors, has been experiencing a market decline in revenue. Actually, several of his rockets have, and the SpaceX program has exploded in the last couple of months. And I believe his most recent SpaceX venture uh, was unexpectedly scrubbed. So, however, I don't think you have to worry about Elon Musk applying for welfare or getting in the welfare line or applying for food stamps. He still has a tremendous amount of financial assets at his disposal at this present time. Actually, several years ago, he experienced a greater decline in his financial assets than he did at this particular time, but he miraculously recovered. So, but whether he can recover from this remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. It may be well be the first kicks of a dying mule, because his two main interests, his governmental position with the Department of Government Efficiency, may be at odds with his responsibilities as the head of two gigantic business entities. So as I said before, no man can serve two masters, whether it be President Donald J. Trump or his own financial ambitions. So Elon Musk will probably have to make his choices very soon, or else this decline in revenue will probably continue. Financial hemorrhaging here and abroad due to declining sales of his electronic vehicles, the Tesla Cybertruck, the main engine of his financial success. But for various reasons, the revenue from that project is rapidly declining. And as this trend continues, he may well forfeit his crown as the richest man. We'll have to remain waiting to see whether this happens. Like I said, he has rebounded before. But then again, prior to that, he was not the head of a governmental agency as he is now. And the conflicting interests may be contributing to his declining financial success. So it may be the first kicks of the dying mule. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you. Yes, major history again, and some startling news I received the other day. Mr. Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, has made a number of controversial statements and declarations. Elon Musk, as you well know, or you may not know, is a senior advisor to President Donald J. Trump in his second administration, and he's the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, and he has been moving to slash, curtail, and downsize many departments. Many thousands have been affected, their jobs terminated or relinquished, according to President Trump's directives at the behest of Mr. Elon Musk. But as of late, Mr. Elon Musk's uh, declarations and statements has gone well beyond his purview, uh, his governmental authority. One of the things he stated recently, he posted on his X account, formerly Twitter, that Derek Chauvin, the convicted murderer of George Floyd, should be considered for a presidential pardon. Now, this is very interesting because Derek Chauvin has been convicted on both federal and state charges, and President Trump has no authority to make pardons on state convictions, only at the federal level. So even if President Trump pardoned Derek Chauvin, he still would have to do time on state charges. So I think Mr. Elon Musk is full of himself, the world's richest man as of this moment. By the way, his wealth is rapidly declining because one of his mainstays of his income, Tesla Motors, has been experiencing a rapid uh, decline in value in the sales, both here in this country and abroad. Musk is losing his fortune at a rate of about $1 billion or so a day. But aside from that, he still thinks he has the authority and the presumptive power to say and do pretty much as he chooses. But I really think in this instance, he's really overstepped his bounds, and this will add to his unpopularity in some quarters. Uh, Although he is a long way from becoming a pauper, uh, this could be the beginning of the end of his presumptive empire. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you. Yes, this is major history. Back on my soapbox, and I'd like to comment on speak on the issue I spoke several times previously about the seeming increasing amount of murders of young men associated with the rap music industry. Unfortunately, I got the latest news of another death, this time of a young man in Texas, 30 years old, uh, Chucky Smith, I believe his name is, and his rap name was Little Ronnie. He unfortunately lost his life in a shooting in a car wash, a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas, called Rock Hill. And what just made this tragic incident even more egregious and worrying, his 5-year-old daughter, who was in the car with him, also lost his life at the hands of two shooters who approached their car and opened fire on both of them. And so far, the suspects have not been apprehended. One may have been identified, however. So this speaks to the issue of violence in the rap community, which I spoke on several occasions. Now, I don't know whether this individual, this young man, was involved in any type of legal activities or gang activities, but at this stage of the game, I would not exclude that possibility. Some of these rappers, not saying this one, do have gang affiliations. And I think there might be one line of inquiry that the police might be looking at. Or it could have been some other issue. It would be over money or debt or just personal animosity, a number of things. Could be a jealousy, or when these individuals move up into the rap game, some of them become a target of envious individuals who do not like their success and are, are envious of it. And this is a very tragic incident, very disturbing. Uh, the lack of humanity of these individuals, and there's nothing that could justify the taking the life of a 5-year-old child. And when the suspects are apprehended, and I hope it will be very soon, as these individuals, men of the shooting, if they killed a 5-year-old child, they'll kill anybody. And they need to be taken off the streets as soon as possible. And hopefully they will be apprehended in due course and face a full force of the law. And death penalty should not be excluded in this case, obviously. So I think the rappers and rap community in general need to take a look at what they're doing and promoting, and whether this might be harmful to the community. Thank you. Yes, good morning. This is Major History. Today is March 2nd, uh, 2025. Well, I recently saw the video of President Donald J. Trump, King John as I call him, my previous podcast, meeting with the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, in the Oval Office at the White House. And it turned out to be something of a media debacle. Donald Trump, as you may have heard, had called Mr. Zelensky a dictator and said that Ukraine was not an aggressor in this conflict. However, they did meet at the White House at President Trump's invitation, ostensibly to sign a multi-billion-dollar joint venture to extract minerals, precious minerals, from Ukrainian territory for the benefit and profit for both countries. Some of the revenue being used to offset costs to the American taxpayer for their contributions to support Ukraine during the war. However, the meeting between the two degenerated into a episode of finger pointing, uh, blame game, uh, mutual recriminations, and accusations of disloyalty and betrayal. Donald J. Trump, he reminds me of a scene from the movie The Godfather with Marlon Brando, in which the Godfather offers a potential adversary offer he cannot refuse. Uh, President Trump made Mr. Zelensky a similar offer that Trump thought he could not or should not refuse, but apparently he did. As one person said years ago, nations do not have permanent friends, they have permanent interests. It seemed like the interests of the United States at this point in Ukraine did not mesh, did not coincide, and it came into a conflict, and it remains to be seen how this will be resolved, because you have one individual, the President of the United States, who is engaged in very, I should say, unstatesmanlike behavior. He more or less, to me, acts as if he's some type of mafia godfather or union boss, used to giving orders and not accepting little of any compromise. I think it was President Teddy Roosevelt that said at one time, "Speak softly and carry a big stick," and engaging in international diplomacy. Well, apparently President Trump, he just uses the big stick approach and apparently has forsaken the speak softly part of that phrase. So this episode does not portend well for peaceful resolution of this conflict. Both sides seem to be at loggerheads, and Vice President J.D. Vance did not help the situation by imposing himself uh, in that discussion or argument, breaking diplomatic protocol uh, in the process. So I think that this episode could well be called Godfather Part 4. Thank you. And now is the winner of our discontent. Uh, I'd like to share with you some thoughts on the new presidency or renewed presidency of Donald John Trump. Uh, who I've chose to name King John for this podcast. King John, according to history, was the English monarch of the 12th century because of his egregious behavior and uh, executive fiat, overstepped his bounds and compelled the noblemen and the gentry of this time to rebel and revolt against the rule, forced him to sign what's called the Magna Carta, limiting and constricting his prerogatives, his executive prerogatives. And I see this as a possible precedent for this present king, the man who would be king, Donald John Trump, with his sweeping executive orders, uh, heedless of the consequences, causing much disruption, dismay, and consternation even amongst his constituents. So I think that any curtailing or limiting of his prerogatives will come externally, not internally, not externally, because he has accumulated a lot of power for himself and his supporters in three branches of government: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. But I do think he will overstep his bounds at some point and cause a revolt, cause him to roll back some of his measures. But we have not reached this point yet. I believe in the coming weeks and coming months, we probably will. And just like the King John of old, which was also a play by William Shakespeare, the play King John, which was delineated in a fictional sense, the rule and reign of King John of medieval England. But hopefully his constituents and followers will come to their senses before it's too late, because they have not become yet discontented as many of us have with his rather obstreperous, ostentatious, and overbearing rule. We'll see in the coming months whether common sense will prevail and force him to rethink some of his measures that he has undertaken. We shall see. Thank you.